What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are giving a review of the BOOX Note Air 3C. There's a lot of products like this hitting the market these days. People love the idea of the Kindle, the e-ink, e-reader situation, and with a company like Remarkable, who seemed to me the first to hit the market with like a version of that you could actually write on. Been a lot of companies bouncing around with that. BOOX to me is one of the leaders, and they were kind enough to send me the Note Air 3C. I'd love to review some of their other products as well, so let me know in the comments if you'd want me to do that with the Palma or maybe one of their just regular readers. This is one specifically for taking notes, and what's cool about BOOX and what sort of sets them apart from someone like Remarkable is they do have the whole Google Play Store. So if there's any apps you're used to using on your laptop or maybe your iPad, but you want to sort of dumb down that experience, you can get them here. So I'm going to walk through, I've had this for a couple weeks now. I'm going to walk through sort of how I've set it up for my use cases. And I know there's a lot still that I need to sort of realize and figure out and play around with this thing to get it, but I'm in a good spot now where I feel like I know what I'm doing with it daily. I've set it up in a way that I like, and I want to talk about like the good things and the bad things about it. Before we do though, on this channel we talk about tech from an intentional living and minimalist perspective. So if that sounds cool to you, please consider subscribing for more and like this video for more. So at any time during this video, if this seems like something that you would like to check out, as always, check the link in the description. You will get a certain percentage off your order, and it will help the channel. So win-win for everybody. I will also say I do have an official newsletter now, so you can check that out in the description as well. I think you guys are really going to love it. I've tried really hard to make it not just a regurgitation of these videos and sharing them, but to be more behind the scenes look at what we do here on the channel, what we have coming up in terms of product reviews, and even deeper thoughts on these reviews in themselves, as well as shout outs to the community, all sorts of fun stuff. So feel free to subscribe to the newsletter down below. So it looks like we have got a cover for the product. We have the product itself, and then what are these? Some extra marker tips. So I'm excited. I do believe this comes with a stylus as well. So let's start with the cover. I know that's not the most fun part. Now the cool thing about this e-ink device is it's actually colored. So you're gonna get an interesting, seems sort of dimmed down color palette, but color nonetheless on e-ink, and I think that's super exciting. So here's the case. Feels very premium, feels nice in silicone. I know there's some interesting reading methods and stuff you can do here, and I've heard that the magnets are really strong here too. That's sort of a good portfolio look that hopefully will keep the thing protected. All right, let's check out the product itself here. Let's get out my dirty knife that Ben keeps telling me to clean, and I will keep ignoring him. All right. I've never had a tablet quite like this that you can write on, so I'm super intrigued to try out this product. Simple packaging. There's BOOX right there. Pull off the cover. Got some nice foam there to protect the thing. And here's the tablet itself. Very thin, very, I wouldn't say light, but I think that's a good thing. I think it's got a good amount of like heft to it, so it's not just like flying all over the place. So that's my first impression there. We'll put that aside. In this box, we have the stylus itself with a rubber tip. Okay, really quick. I say itself so much in these reviews. Here's the tablet itself, the stylus itself, the marker itself, the Apple Watch itself, and it really bothers me. So I'm either gonna have Ben start to edit them out, or I just need to get better at it, which is actually what needs to happen. I won't put that on Ben. All right, what else do we have here? This is a pen tool, I guess, to get into extra storage. And then the charger itself. All right, and then over here is our various pieces of paperwork. Let's first look at this writing tool here. It's pretty nice, pretty light, little nib or whatever you tip, whatever you want to call that. It does have, I don't think it has batteries, but it's magnetic and will stick to the side of the tablet, which is cool. And then you do have the tip cover, which I think is nice as well. Nice touch. All right, let's get into the actual device here. see what this is all about. Can you just slide it out? You surely can. Wow, that's very interesting. Like I said, I've never had anything quite like this, so I'm super excited to see what this is all about. All right, so you have on the outside here, you can hold it this way, and this will be the bottom, but most of the time we'll probably be using it this way, up and down. But either way, on the side or on the bottom, you have your door here to, I guess, add some extra storage. I don't think this has cellular data, but I could be wrong. Ben, check me on that. Here is USB-C charging port. These look like some microphones, and then you do have double speakers here, so I guess a stereo sound. Around the bottom, nothing, side, nothing, but this is where the pin actually can connect. And I mean, that's pretty solid on there. That's where that sticks. And then you do have on and off button here, and then it looks like another microphone, and then around back, Note Air 3C with a little bit of information on charging and then a serial number or something. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't love the orange coloring, but I thought this was more orange, and it's actually kind of like a pale pinkish red salmon color. And I actually really like that. I don't know if that shows up well on camera or not, but that's actually more of like a salmon color, which I love way more than the orange that I thought it was. So there's that. Let's just see what this thing is like to boot up. It says power off, which is cool. So I'm pushing and holding there, Onyx. Nice. So that's a good look. And that's in there too. All right, device is starting. Yep, so we're in the United States. We go ahead and hit next. User agreement, privacy policy. So far, I really love this. We're not in Beijing. Eastern time, there we go. Date, it is not 3/27. You know what, actually, I'm gonna hit cancel and I'm gonna say set time automatically. And I'm hoping when we connect to Wi-Fi, this will all write itself. Auto sleep 5 minutes, auto power off 15 minutes. Let's go ahead and just keep everything standard for now. So let's do bottom gestures. All right, so we got back on the right side, back home screen in the middle, e-ink center on the left, volume, back, cool. And then over here is brightness, I like that. Up and down swipe gestures. Oh, I wanna turn these on. I think those are cool. Setup is now complete, cool. All right, initializing the library. So I'm gonna sort of like stop it here, at least for now. I'm gonna come back to you guys in a few weeks. You know what, I'll do one thing. I'll start a new note, create a notepad, blank, create, and I'll just write. Do you want it to connect to Wi-Fi to activate AI recognition? Yeah, I'm gonna turn Wi-Fi on. I don't wanna miss any of that. All right, let's see what it's like to write on this thing. Oh, that's weird, man. Let me describe this because I've wondered how this feels ever since I've watched a few reviews on these type of things. So not only does it have a certain sound and grippiness to it, but there's also, wow. There's also a certain, like, if I can show you with my hand, when you push, it feels, and I don't know if it's the tip of this or if it's the screen itself, but it feels like you're kind of pushing into, like, this is silly, but it feels like you're kind of pushing into, how's that for a visual effect, huh, Ben? It feels like you're pushing into the page. Like, it feels like, you know when you have like a stack of paper and you're writing on top instead of like a piece of paper on a table? That is wild. Okay, give me a couple weeks. I'm gonna just use this thing nonstop, and I'll come back to you guys with my experience. Super excited to try this out. Thanks to BOOX for sending me this. This thing is cool. First of all, I think something that I didn't realize is I've kept it in the case. I think this is a nice look. It's a nice feel. It's definitely kind of hefty. And I think when I first opened the tablet itself, I thought it had a little bit of heft, But then I used it in the case for like a few days and then actually took it out of the case and I was like, oh, whoa, the case actually adds quite a bit of heft to this thing. But it's not unmanageable. Like this is nice. And in fact, I kind of like the heft. I think it could be a bit lighter, but I know they just released their Go series or something, which is more of a competitor to the Remarkable 2, for instance, and it's lighter and thinner and all that good stuff. But I really wanted to test out color because this tablet does have color, whereas, as you can see here, a nice color display, whereas that new device is black and white only. And I have some thoughts about color with e-ink, but here's the device. I've been using it, like I said, for a while. I love the materials, and I think I mentioned earlier, I love this salmon color, which I thought was gonna be bright orange. I definitely like the salmon better. It's pretty thin. You've got dual speakers here. You've got a microphone and a slot here if you want to add extra storage. The pen kind of does this weird thing where there's like 3 different places it can snap on. I don't know why, but that's nice. I think without the case, it's a little scary being on there. You might lose it, but the case kind of adds a little buffer to it, so it's not as hard to knock off even without. See how that works. And then this helps a lot too. So I do like that. I think something with the newer tablets they've done with this is make the whole thing removable, because that's kind of annoying, but you can lock that back there, which is super nice. So I like that. So if you open it up here, this is completely off. It has standby and then off time, which playing with those settings is going to help this thing last longer if you put it into off mode more often and let it stay in standby mode for less time. It will save more battery. Because it is e-ink, it sticks on this image and will stay here, I think, indefinitely until the end of time, maybe. So you can pick this, you can pick your standby image or platform layout, whatever. This is what I currently have. I've played around with some photos and stuff, but ultimately I thought this was nice. So when you first boot it up out of off mode, it does take some time to boot up because it actually is off. So you're starting it back up. When it's standby mode, you can just tap it and it's right back to where you left off. But we're gonna go ahead and jump in. I'm gonna go ahead and move, just for aesthetic purposes, move that off. And I have found the different ways you can use the stand. I think a really cool way you can use it is this way here. So let me show you while this thing's still booting up a little bit. So this is an interesting look, and it's on their website and stuff. Like, I'm not showing you anything new here, but that's cool, especially like if you're reading some kind of recipe or something in your kitchen. My wife actually said, ooh, that's cool. Like, I could do recipes on here, which is super cool. And then you can have a version of this in landscape too, just kind of your normal looking this deal that goes on too. So that's an option. This, I kind of just want to walk through how I have it set up, because I want to show you sort of how I've been using it and experiencing it. Like I said, it has the availability to get the whole of the Google Play Store as far as I know. Obviously, I've talked about this before on the channel. With this sort of dumb device movement, you have devices that limit what you can do on them, but then you also have devices that are so dumb that even though you can do everything on them, they just don't work as well. This is one of those devices where, like, yes, you could play a video game or watch a YouTube video on it, but like, you don't want to. It's not a pleasurable experience. So I've sort of picked the apps that I use on a regular basis for work, such as email, Sunsama, which is my checklist. I have the Bible app here, Notion, and Kindle. And I'll say things like Notion, because of how it's laid out and like the transparency and stuff they use, it's not the best experience. So I've used Notion sparingly on this, and maybe I can show you. I'll hop in here and you can see how kind of long it took to load, which is fine. That's network and all that kind of stuff. But something you can do with each device is look into, I think it's in the e-ink center. You can change these settings, which is like the refresh modes. If you want it to be faster refresh, so when you scroll, it does a good job with that. It feels more like, you know, I don't know how to explain it, a higher refresh rate. So if you're scrolling on like one of the newer iPhones versus one of the older iPhones, it's a lot smoother. But if you can imagine an e-ink device, or you can have more of this balanced or HD mode, which makes the image a lot more high definition, but it's way more ghosting going on and slower to scroll and things like that. But you can see it's just, I think for Notion, where I'm in here like clicking around really quick and stuff like that, it's not the best. I will say I haven't paired this with a Bluetooth keyboard, which I kind of want to try out. That could be really cool, especially for Notion when you're writing notes and stuff like that. But I haven't been using this too much because I just like a faster workflow in Notion, so I still just do that on my computer. There's different swipes and stuff you can do. I've changed mine. Before, there's bottom swipes, which I found I was accidentally hitting with my hand a lot, so I actually turned those off, just as something that I've done. What I've used this for the most is the Bible app on Sunday morning. That's super easy and convenient. The Kindle app for reading books, which is nice. I haven't been reading a lot of Kindle, but recently my wife and I have decided to read more before bed. So it's been really pleasurable reading on this. And it does have, you know, the backlight, which you can change with this little side swipe kind of feature here, which is nice. But what I've been using this for the most, and I think what it's catered towards the most, is notes. So I've kind of come in here and let me see if I can change the way this looks. Cover mode. I've made these little different covers for my notes. I've got meeting notes, which is for work, brainstorming, which is just a blank canvas with no lines where I can just write down thoughts and do math, and even some meetings I'll use that just to plan. Sketches are for drawing and fun. Sermon notes for church. Scratch pad is if I'm like, ooh, that's a good idea, I need to write that down somewhere. I put that there. But anyway, I'll hop into meeting notes here and just sort of give you like a feel for how I use this. So this is nice. This is a template that I've set up that I can use for every new sort of discovery meeting with a client. This is what I use. I'm using this ballpoint pen, which I've found is my favorite pen. I have, you know, a highlighter, and then I have a red ballpoint pen. So you can do that. There's different ways of erasing. You can either erase like you normally would, or you can lasso things to erase them, or stroke eraser, which will, whatever line you touch, it'll erase that whole stroke that you took. Now, what I found is, and this is kind of problems I've had with like writing on like an iPad mini, for instance, is I don't write super small. It's harder for me to write really small. Adjunct, that's not even a word. And that's a cool erase feature too. So what I actually do is I have my page set up, and I've been using this like business letter page. It's been my favorite, but I actually will turn it sideways, which makes everything a bit bigger. I can write a bit bigger. I'm going to keep going with adjunct. Is that even a word? And then when I turn it sideways, it actually makes it smaller. So when I'm done writing, I'll do that. But I also love this amount of space to write on, and then when I need to scroll down the page, I just kind of swipe up and keep going. I haven't used a ton of this stuff. I actually took this last time I went to church. I took this to service, and my niece and nephew were there, and they kind of played with this and were using some of the different tools, and that was really cool. There is an AI feature that will, you know, there's a few different things you can do, especially like that scribble through eraser, but it will actually do text recognition. I found, especially if you're adding lines and stuff like that, it's not, oh, this is also a template, so it's not going to show up. It's not the best thing in the world, but I think if you have better handwriting than I do, it could work a little bit better. And of course, that stuff will get better over time. I haven't really had a need to use it because I actually just sync this to the cloud, right? I think that kind of happens automatically. And I can access these notes on my computer, or literally you can just decide to like send your notes off via email, which is fine. You can actually, like I'll show you, you can say this, share and export. You can pick whichever one you want, select, and then you can export. I think you can even, the other day I was able to actually share this from the email app that I use on this, which I use for everything, which is Spark. So in terms of what I thought I would use this for, I'm using it mostly for note taking. That's really all I've been doing, scribbling down thoughts. I found when I'm in, you know, Zoom meetings with clients or in-person meetings with clients, I always brought like a notebook, even though I had my computer, because I would use my computer to like show them a web page or something, but then I would take notes on a notebook, but then I didn't really have any way of sending that without typing them up, and I don't like doing that two-step deal. So like the other day I took notes during a meeting, and then I just exported the note in an email to our sales rep so she could have those notes that I took as well. And that's been the main way I've been using this. Something that's pretty interesting too is there are search features. So if you come to like the whole notes area, you can actually like search for words and stuff, even in your own handwriting. So sometimes when it comes to a meeting, I'll actually do like hashtag client, and then I'll search hashtag client. So I'm creating these like handwritten tags that I can then search through as well, which is super cool. Or if it's an internal meeting, right, I want to be able to section those off. So that's something cool that I realized you can do, which is helpful. Something that I really enjoy about working on a computer or something like this is, and it's going to be kind of ironic here, but I love being efficient. So for instance, Sunsama is my favorite, task software. I'll leave a link in the description if I remember to, because everything can be done on the keyboard. You don't have to go back and forth between clicking and choosing and keyboard. Everything can be done with keyboard shortcuts and commands like that. So you can just run through to-dos and planning and stuff like that. If you need to erase something, they do make a pro version of the marker pen, whatever you want to call this, that you can flip it over and erase with, but you can't with this one. So if I want to erase adjunct, which isn't a word, I would select the eraser tool and do it that way. However, they did add this AI way of doing, which I showed you earlier, which you just kind of scribble through it, it goes away and you can write it again. So that's cool. There's not a lot of like things that have to interrupt your conversation and note taking as you're going. Really cool stuff, just like line creation, or if you're trying to create shapes, things like that. Like those are all done really easily on this as well. Another one too, so like let me take this word, I'll circle it, it's going to select it, I can move it down. So like all this stuff is done just with this, and I think that's really powerful. And once the note is done, you can click sync. I've found this kind of syncs automatically, which is really nice. And you can also like hide these toolbars and stuff too, which is cool. Like you just have a blank canvas, which just feels like a blank sheet of paper, which I really love. Let me see if I can. I'm gonna pull this over. Oop. You just hit that to start a new sheet. Basically, like you can come in here, templates, recent, blank, boop. And now I've got a blank sheet of paper. I can hit this, and now I'm fully just uninterrupted writing things that I need to. That's it. I will say, like, I thought I was going to enjoy the colors a lot more than I have. I think I do still like having colors, because if I want to, for instance, use red to underline something, even though the colors aren't jumping out at me, I actually like how dumbed down the colors are and how dull they are, because I think it just gives a better aesthetic and a better like peaceful kind of experience. I don't know really how to explain it. But when you do go look at this on the computer, where it is sort of kept in the cloud, these are more vibrant colors, what you would expect from a red, for instance. So when marking things up and like adding notes and stuff to send to people, it makes a lot more sense to have those colors. I don't read a ton of like graphic novels, though I have looked. I was reading like a Nightwing one the other day, and that was really cool. I heard someone else reviewing this say like it really feels like you're reading like old school comics where the colors were kind of dull with the printing and the paper wasn't as glossy. And it was really special. I really got into it. I don't read a ton of those, but I could see if you do love graphic novels and stuff, this would be a really cool reader to view that on. So I've done light emails on this. Typing, of course, is slow and kind of clunky, but you can get it done, especially when sending off docs, like adding in someone's email address and stuff like that with a quick note. That's totally fine. I mean, going down the row here, you do have a certain amount of storage, which 64 gigs with this version, but like I said, you can add a micro SD card. They have like your library of documents you may have saved and stuff like that. In the store, that's actually just books that you can buy, as far as I know. And they're all these like classics, like Canterbury Tales and poems of Sir John Davies and like William Shakespeare, which is kind of cool if you're into the classics and stuff like that. But there's not a ton here. So the fact that you can have Kindle or other things, I'm assuming, I don't know, whatever's on the Google Play Store is really nice. I will say a couple days ago, they released a new firmware update, which changes a lot of, I wouldn't say the UI, but in a way, the UI changed quite a bit. They just kind of updated it, made it more sort of technical, which I haven't gotten that update yet. They apparently rolled them out. So hopefully I'll have that soon. I don't know if I'll make a follow-up video. Hopefully I can continue working with books. But anyway, that's kind of my feel. I've enjoyed this. It's definitely what I was kind of wanting and looking for. It's checked off the boxes. If you're looking for a note-taking digital platform to do that type of thing and have the ability to get other apps and stuff, this is great. Battery life's been awesome. The experience of using it has been awesome. My wife's enjoyed it, and my cousins or my niece and nephew enjoyed playing with it. So I really like it. I think the pricing is very reasonable, but you can check all that information down below in the description. There will be a certain percentage off for you if you use my affiliate link. And so that's gonna do it for the BOOX Note Air 3C. Again, let me know if you have any questions, as always, in the comments. And if you'd like for me to review other devices from BOOX, let me know as well, and I will let them know, and hopefully we can keep doing that into the future. Thanks again to BOOX for sending me this device. It has been a pleasure to use, honestly, and yeah, if you pick one up, let me know in the comments. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like on it and subscribe if you're new. Watch this video next. I think you're gonna love it, and I'll see you in the next one.